There's been a general recognition by all governments that these thresholds were helpful in promoting part-time work. Now that the judgment has gone against us, we're going to have to decide how to minimise that impact.
But tonight, the Institute of Directors warned the decision could cost jobs.
I think it must be a blow to part-time work. Britain has created many, many thousands of jobs in the last few years for part-time workers, and what this will do will make employers very chary of taking on part-time workers.
Those who will benefit from the legislation will only get employment protection after 2 years. They could still be dismissed after, say, 18 months with very little comeback.
Still to come on News at 10 tonight, a live report from Leicester Square on the security scare for Prince Charles. Plus, the incredible story of the girl frozen to ice and how doctors fought to save her. The fanatic's passion, how some Jews worship the Hebron gunman as a hero. And the elderly who take great care, but are they a menace on the roads?
If you've got to criticise the old, you've got to criticise the young as well.
More details are coming in on tonight's security scare involving the Prince of Wales at a cinema in the West End of London. For the latest, straight over now to ITN's Terry Lloyd in Leicester Square. Terry?
Well, the details are pretty scant still, Trevor, but what I can tell you is that at 7:40 this evening, that's about 45 minutes before the Royal premiere was due to start of the Shadowlands film made by Lord Attenborough, and that's well before Prince Charles arrived. A man in the crowd over my shoulder here was seen acting suspiciously and was approached by police officers. When they approached him, he brandished a knife drawn from his inside pocket, was immediately disarmed and arrested and taken away for questioning. The police at Scotland Yard say they keep an open mind. Prince Charles is in no direct threat, and there's no suggestion at this stage that he was the target. Back to you, Trevor, in the studio.
Terry Lloyd, thank you. It's almost impossible to believe a toddler slips out of the house unnoticed by her father as he leaves for his night shift. She spends the whole night out in the cold. It's minus 40 degrees. Her body freezes and she's clinically dead. But 90 minutes after she was found, her heart began to beat normally again. It's true, and it happened in Saskatchewan in Canada. ITN's Bill Neely reports.
In the heart of frozen Canada, 40 degrees below zero is no temperature to take a walk in. An adult's body begins to freeze after 30 seconds. So when 2-year-old Carly Kozlowski wandered out of her house in the middle of the night and the door shut behind her, she began to freeze quickly, and that might have saved her life. When her mother found her frozen body face down on the front steps, she was sure she was dead.
By the look of her eyes, and when I picked her up, her legs were really solid.
Doctors say she was rock hard, like meat from the deep freeze. She'd been clinically dead for 6 hours, no heartbeat or breathing or pulse.
We didn't know how severe it was, and we in fact didn't know that there had been no one else of this degree who had survived, so we didn't have any preconceived notions.
Carly had luck on her side. The nearest hospital is one of the few in Western Canada properly equipped to save her. Doctors hooked her to a machine that warmed and resuscitated her heart.
It's very unusual for people to survive, although with the facility of the heart-lung machine where you can warm them up. If you haven't got that, then there's no way that anybody's going to survive.
After 90 minutes, the first tiny heartbeat, within 3 hours her temperature was normal. Carly may still lose one badly frostbitten leg. Doctors originally thought she would lose both legs, her ears and nose. Today they say she is with her parents and talking. She asked for ice cream and she ate it. Bill Neely, News at 10, Washington.
2 young men were killed early today in a crash in a stolen car in Buckinghamshire. The driver, aged 24, was left paralysed from the neck down. He's in Stoke Mandeville Hospital. The car, a powerful hatchback, had been stolen in Milton Keynes. Police said it was tragic, but unfortunately all too common. Here's our Midlands reporter Jim Buchanan.
In Milton Keynes tonight, a police patrol is on the lookout for car thieves. By tomorrow morning, around a dozen vehicles will have been reported stolen. The joyriders will have had another few hours of fun. But the fun ended suddenly and fatally for 3 young men in this Astra GTI stolen early this morning. The driver lost control on a bend. He's now paralysed. His 2 18-year-old passengers are dead. Breaking into the car had been easy. It only takes a few seconds to remove a lock. Many cars stolen in Milton Keynes end up here. This firm recovered 1,300 last year, 7 from last night alone. But few of those joyrides have the tragic results of this one. Milton Keynes' network of long straight roads makes it a tempting place to joyride. Everyone, it seems, knows somebody who's done it.
Well, mate, the reason for the buzz. People do it to get the chase, don't they? Off the police, wind the police up.
If they ain't got a car of their own, they're up to it, they're going to steal someone else's and drive that.
But the risk goes with the buzz, doesn't it? It's all part of joyriding, isn't it, really?
It's time that everyone knew that this isn't joyriding. There's no joy at all in car theft. This is a very serious incident, and car crime should not be trivialised.
Youths had fun with this car last night, and when they got bored, they dumped it in a lake. But unlike the two in the Astra, tonight they're living and probably laughing. Jim Buchanan, News at 10, Milton Keynes.
The PLO has set up its own inquiry into last Friday's Hebron massacre, in which 40 people died. 6 days on, the impact of that on the peace process is painfully obvious. On one side, some Jewish settlers worship the cold-blooded killer as a hero. On the other, Palestinians seethe with anger about the peace deal they now regard as a sellout. Our Middle East correspondent Robert Moore has this special report.
In a desolate field of mud, a new and terrible shrine has been created in the Holy Land. It is the grave of Baruch Goldstein, the Jewish doctor who turned his machine gun on Muslims at prayer. For those who come here, Dr. Goldstein was no madman, but espoused their fanatical ideology and their deep hatred of the Palestinians who live all around them.
The Arabs say they're going to kill us, and we have to believe that they mean it.
I believe it.
Another man who does is Lenny Goldberg, a Jewish settler seen as so extreme that the government has revoked his gun license. He refuses to hand it over and supports the recent attack on the Palestinians of Hebron.
The heroic action of Baruch Goldstein, who did that action precisely to stop the peace process, because it's to him and to normal people, it's not a peace process, it's a suicide process.
With passion so high, the entire Hebron region is sealed off. The road, which passes refugee camps hemmed in by wire, can be used only by Jews. Reporters are denied entry.
It's a closed military zone.
It's a what?
Closed military zone.
Only local farm tracks allowed us to evade the army roadblocks. Extraordinary though it may seem, a week after the massacre, the Jewish settlers, clearly armed, clearly protected by the army, are roaming around Hebron freely. It is the Palestinians who are under a 24-hour curfew, unable to leave their homes. Those who do risk arrest. The building where the attack happened is now closed to both Jews and Muslims. So here in central Hebron, like across the West Bank, in every home, in every mosque, a quiet rage is building up. It suggests that whatever Arafat and Rabin may say, on the ground, the peace process may indeed be finished. The injured are still being treated in hospital. The bullet wounds slow to heal. Abid Ramele was saved only because he was praying in the front row. He lost many friends, and also his belief that the peace talks might succeed. Now, he says, the Jewish settlers must leave. And so Dr. Goldstein's real legacy is to put the future of these communities, housing over 100,000 Jews, top of the agenda. But what is fueling Arab bitterness is the fact that a mile from the site of the massacre, the killer is being seen by some as a Jewish martyr. The mood has turned dramatically, perhaps decisively, away from dialogue. Robert Moore, News at 10, Hebron.
Soccer news. It's been revealed in the last hour that Celtic, one of the most famous clubs in the country, was last night on the point of bankruptcy. The club's directors were called to see their bankers, who warned them that they were in immediate and dire peril of receivership. Tonight, the board said they were confident of surviving thanks to a loan from a Glasgow businessman. And tonight's breaking story, there's been a security scare involving the Prince of Wales. A man with a knife was arrested outside a cinema shortly before the Prince attended the premiere in the West End of London. And finally, special driving lessons are being laid on in the Isle of Wight for elderly drivers who are being blamed for many of the island's accidents. They're accused of going not too fast, but too slowly. Our South of England correspondent Robert Hall reports.
I'd like you to turn left at the end of the road.
72-year-old Fred Price is having his first driving assessment since receiving his driving licence in the 30s.
Can you feel sometimes when you go around the corner, you tangling your hands up?
The voluntary assessments are part of a campaign designed to reduce the number of accidents caused by those who drive erratically or simply too slowly.
I think the problem is you can't get past them basically because the roads are so narrow.
They drive how they were taught a long time ago.
If they're not safe to drive on the road, they shouldn't be on the road.
Police here claim many accidents result from the frustration of fellow motorists. When stopped, elderly drivers often react with astonishment.
We never go more than 40 anyway.
No, I appreciate that. You never go more than 40?
No, not at all.
When we stop and deal with them in our normal way, we'll be advising them on the facilities that the County Council have to offer for improving their driving skills.
But with senior citizens making up over a quarter of the island's population, the council initiative has provoked angry letters to the local paper.
If you've got to criticise the old, you've got to criticise the young as well. And I think you're going to have worse accidents with the young, inexperienced and going fast than you can with the elderly people going slow and cautious.
Fred would not have passed his test this time round. He too must now consider whether he should stay on the road. Robert Hall, News at 10 on the Isle of Wight.
And that's News at 10 tonight. We're back here tomorrow. From all of us at ITN, good night.
The weather and central news is coming up shortly, after which Sharon Gless stars in The Trials of Rosie O'Neill.
Listen, I'm ringing round the girls.
What would you say if a friend phoned up and suggested a get-together?
Yeah, great. What are you wearing, your Armani tent? Table for 8, please.
What are you having?
Baby. I'll have the coal and the salt flakes, please. Only joking, I'll have the saltfish.
What would you recommend?
Well, I've always liked Philip for a boy. Mind you, Louise is lovely for a girl. And there's Benjamin.
No design in this world is going to be satisfactory to somebody unless it works well. Each restaurant has got its own character, each shop has got its own character, but there is a thread that connects them all together. You're designing for people to use things. If they're not successful, you've failed as a designer and as a businessman. I would never have anything except the classic green car, which has undoubtedly changed the world.
American Express is welcomed at all Conran establishments and around the world.
Mastering the mysteries of the East should be easy. Shah would say, this easy. Let Sharwood's stir-fry sauces put your cooking on the map.
I wonder how the house is going. We should never have come away.
Thank goodness I managed to persuade him to take a break.
I mean, we saw so many terrible places.
Right, that's it. I'm going to phone her. Still time to catch the last ferry.
Sam?
I was just wondering how everything was going.
Fine, they'll be ready to sign when you get back. Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Oh, good.
No way.
How do McCain make pizza perfection?
Hey, come on more. I want more.
To be a pizza perfection.
Pizza perfection from McCain is top to perfection. Piled high with delicious toppings, heaps of mozzarella cheese on a deep, light base. McCain Pizza perfection is topped to perfection.
There are excellent offers available when you see the Get Together sign. So make a call and get together now.
Brian, Colin, Mary's nice.
The bill?
Bill's not bad. William's better. Nigel's okay.
For more details, call 0800 800 809 or look out for leaflets.
Hello, good evening. Well, the weather's in, at best, very changeable mood tonight. Many of us dry and clear, but we'll all find towards morning thickening cloud, bring outbreaks of rain into Northern Ireland, perhaps western Scotland, and then through tomorrow that rushes across Scotland into western parts of England and Wales. It's quite windy weather in the northwest through the afternoon in particular. So let's put a bit of detail on that to start the day. Bulk of England and Wales, fine, dry, fair amount of sunshine. But the further north and west you go towards Northern Ireland, western Scotland, there's that thicker cloud. Outbreaks of rain, some of it quite heavy too. As we go through the morning, that rain will rush quite quickly across Scotland and the cloud will begin to push out across the Irish Sea towards western parts of England and Wales, but only patchy rain there, I think, by about lunchtime. At the same time, the worst of the rain will be dying out in Northern Ireland, at least for a while. Then as we go through the afternoon, the rain continues its inexorable progress across Scotland, some patchy rain turning up in the Midlands, and eventually after dark down into the southeast. At the same time, these western coasts becoming grey, misty, and rather drizzly. Temperatures tomorrow, well, actually not too bad, up to around 13, which is 55, but windy in the northwest, gales in places.
Good evening. The main news in the region tonight. The man accused of murdering his daughter and burying her body fainted in court when he was accused of 2 more killings. His lawyers fear some of the publicity surrounding the case may prejudice his chances of a fair trial.
Frederick West, who's 52, made his second appearance in Gloucester Magistrates Court in 4 days. Digging was still going on in the garden of his home in Cromwell Street in the city, where police have found the remains of 3 women. One of them is Shirley Robinson, a lodger at the house who was heavily pregnant when she died. Intense media coverage of the case filled the court with almost 100 journalists, as West was escorted to the dock, already facing a charge of murdering his daughter Heather, who disappeared 7 years ago. West fainted in the dock and collapsed into the arms of 2 flanking detectives when 2 new murder charges were put to him. He sat with his head in his hands for several moments before he was able to stand again to hear the charges that between 1972 and 1994 he murdered Shirley Robinson, and that between the same dates he murdered a person unknown. West's solicitor warned in court that he was worried about West getting a fair trial, a warning he repeated outside.
I understand the concerns that are being expressed. I understand the news value of a case such as this, but from the legal point of view, I am very concerned indeed that any potential trial, as I say, may be prejudiced, and that there is a danger of jumping to conclusions.
The third body found in the garden at Cromwell Street has yet to be identified.
A 19-year-old man who killed a teenage girl by dangerous driving in a stolen car has been jailed for 4 years and banned from driving for 6. The judge described Lee Staines as a danger to the public. Staines was driving a stolen Vauxhall Cavalier at Newton Longville in Buckinghamshire when he tried to overtake a digger on the brow of a hill. He hit another car coming the other way, killing 15-year-old Sharon Griffiths. A family is demanding an explanation after a mother died from cancer within a month of being given the all-clear. The hospital where she had her check-up insists there's no cause for alarm.
Gloria Northcote from Swindon had a breast removed 17 years ago. She went for regular check-ups at the Princess Margaret Hospital in case the cancer recurred. On her last visit, she was given a clean bill of health, but she died 4 weeks later. She had cancer of the liver.
Our concerns are that there could be 5, 10, 100 people out there that if checked a year earlier, they could have maybe found a small problem there. If my mother a year earlier had been diagnosed as a small problem there, she could still be with us now.
The PMH is reviewing its procedures, but says patients shouldn't be alarmed.
There is no reason for any other lady to fear that they have not been properly treated.
Hospital officials have twice met the Northcotes to discuss Gloria's case, but the family says it so far hasn't been given an adequate explanation.
A man's been found with multiple stab wounds at a hostel for the homeless. He was attacked earlier at a soup kitchen in Northampton. He's seriously ill in hospital with deep wounds in his legs, neck and face. Police are appealing for witnesses. 4 firemen were injured tackling a fire at an industrial estate this evening. A gas cylinder exploded and fire spread through a factory unit close to a railway line at Martin's Yard in Northampton. Several roads were closed. The firemen were treated for minor injuries. A half-mile journey to a local pub is being turned into a 25-mile round trip because of a closed road. The landlord says the county council diversion will destroy his trade.
Floods and land slippage mean the Nailsworth to Avening Road must close for a month for repairs. At the Weybridge Inn, they rely on Nailsworth for their regulars. The County Council's recommending a 12-mile each-way detour via Tetbury.
They're going to direct all my customers around a route that I reckon is about between 20 and 25 miles to do half a mile.
It's an awful long way for a pint, really, isn't it?
That's right.
Mr. Kaleza says light traffic at least should be diverted via Minchinhampton. That would take it up a precipitous local hill called the W. But that route wouldn't do for lorries, so isn't posted as a diversion. Highway officials say the roadworks have to be done, even though they'll cause problems.
It's just one of those things that, we want to inconvenience the travelling public as little as possible, but it's something that we have to do, and obviously we apologise for any inconvenience.
The closure order will be in effect for a month. Until then, regulars will find their pint at the end of a long and winding road.
Well, that's our look at the news so far this evening in the Central Region. We'll be back on GMTV at 6:15 tomorrow, but for now, good night.
Central Weather, sponsored by Legal & General.
Good evening. Well, although this cloud from the southwest will bring us some rain tomorrow, we're going to have clear skies over the region tonight. Any showers will soon be dying out as well, and the wind will be dropping, which may encourage a few mist patches to form in more rural parts. Lows could dip far enough to give a touch of ground frost as well, between 3 and 5 Celsius. Then tomorrow morning will start quite bright, especially in the east, but things will soon be clouding over from the southwest there, bringing some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle. But these eastern counties here will probably escape and remain mostly dry. Through the day, a fresh southerly wind will be getting up, becoming quite strong over western hills later on. But as the rain and drizzle clears away northeastwards, things will start to brighten up with a few sunny breaks, mostly in the east again, and it will feel mild with tops up to 13 Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit. That's it from me. Join me tomorrow. Bye-bye.